We'll go ahead and get started. Good morning and thank you for coming. We originally had 3 students scheduled to present today, but there were some extenuating circumstances that left 2 off the schedule. And Aaron will be doing his presentation, probably the only internship presentation that I can say for the most part that we will all at some point in time likely need these services. And it'll be the more interesting ones that we've had for a while. Just as a quick reminder, the internship possibilities that are currently being discussed or presented to me, we have Walmart looking for interns in southern West Virginia. Appears to be a really good opportunity. The minors baseball team in the Beckley area is looking for a summer intern. And if you may be interested in any of those, please contact me and we'll try to make those connections for you. Aaron?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Aaron Arnold. I done my internship on Seaver Funeral Home Service. My boss is George W. Seaver IV, but everybody calls him Bill. The funeral home has been in his family for 4 years. And I'm one of the non-family members to work for him, which is very rare. You find in the mortuary field, most funeral homes are family-owned and operated for most of the lineage and lifetime. But as time goes on, things will change. We're going to have a little fun talking about death, I know, right? But let's start off on a good note. It's just me here. It's 15 minutes. And everybody gets their credit, and it's going to be the easiest symposium you've ever walked in. So you're going to love it. I'm going to assume that most people here want to become CEO or a high-ranking person in their business. Upon my apprenticeship, one of the most important things my boss told me is to have a website. We live in a modern age, and yes, signs on the street corner can do a whole lot, but having a website and being able to have access to all the information you can acquire is good. Certain benefits to it is some people don't like to talk face-to-face, and you can actually arrange funerals totally from here. I'm not sure how much good that does you because eventually you got to come face to face and not with just a director. But a website is very, very important of all organizations. If you plan to have your own organization, I recommend setting up your own website or having a programmer set one up for you. It can always be a benefit more than it is a burden or a cost. Okay, so I set out with my objectives for the funeral home, what I was to learn within my 120 hours, and I've spent way over that and I've enjoyed my time. But we're going to go through a few things. And first is respect and honor. When working in a funeral home, you respect and honor the families, the survivors. It's always a strange name to call people. But not only do you honor and respect the people that are there, but you got to honor and respect the dead. Whenever you're in the embalming room, I was going to give you the presentation on embalming. You don't want it. It is not pretty. You can Google it if you want to. But what I will talk about is the honor and respect you need to have in the embalming room with the body. Yes, with the cadaver, with the patient, you can't make too many mistakes. They're already dead. But still in the spiritual realm, you have to have honor and respect. A lot of cadavers will come in no clothes and in bags. I remedy that with boxers. Everyone gets boxers. Boxers and clothing for everyone. And it's being a mortician in a funeral home or funeral director has had a certain honor and duty to it for a long time. in the picture I have to my left is Anubis, Egyptian god of the dead, known for embalming. And this tablet depicts him embalming one of the pharaohs. So being a mortician was once a job fit for a god. And I found that kind of special. Patience. Patience is very key when working in a funeral home. Most of the time, when you come in, it's a no-nonsense environment. Nobody comes into a funeral home wanting to fight or start a fight. But you got to have patience because things will happen. Families at times will be tense and things will get hectic. And they're going to lose control for a little bit, but that's okay. Because at that point in time, everybody's going to be a little bit emotionally unstable. You have to always understand that. If they get mad or rude at you, you have to understand. Patience is first and foremost. Clarity and integrity. While people are in the stupor of death and in this offset mind frame, it's easy to not think clearly. But with clarity and integrity, when you're making deals to the family, you have to be clear. You don't want to hide things away from them. You want to be honest. And with integrity, it's doing the right thing. I see being a funeral director sometimes it's kind of like a car salesman. I don't sell cars, I sell coffins. I can sell you the most expensive coffin, even if you can't afford it, just because at that moment I persuaded you to do it. But that doesn't make it right. That's integrity. So you've got to give them the best you can no matter what, no matter how big you can make the profit margin. Michael Jackson's coffin cost $25,000. It was sold to him for $100,000. Sincerity. I've spent time as a mourner. Some families don't have a lot of people. And when they're there and you're the person to lean on when they break down in your office, in the chapel, you gotta be sincere. Everybody in here has had someone die on them. Someone close. Young, old, it doesn't matter. You gotta strive for perfection. One of the reasons I set off on my mortuary spiel or career path is because of the death of one of my friends. My grandmother passed before him, and I swear she looked better in death than she did life. And it kind of brought me peace. I know it's a bad thing to say, but she really did look fuller. She looked 10 years younger, which, quick fact is, you get Botox when you're dead. Everybody loves that. But you got to strive for perfection. Think of it as when you're doing an embalming, not cremation, but an embalming. That is the last time anybody's going to see this person. And you want them to look their absolute best because they might remember your business and that person by how they see them last. Okay, stress management. You have to handle stress every day with the family, the widows, and yourself. During my time, I haven't seen many stressful events, but they do happen. They happen to yourself, in the families. With yourself, when you're in the bombing room, I'm sure we're all from different religions, or not, or different realms of spirituality. You don't often think about death, but it gets different when you get used to seeing ages of 60 up, and then a 10-month-old child is next. And it makes you think. Then you see a friend, and then you see a family member. It makes you think that death is coming for you, and you start to get scared. You start to stress yourself out and worry about what's beyond the path. But when you're there, you got to remove all spirituality. I mean, you can always have your faith, but you can't have the superstition. You always got to carry on. A quick fact is most people that go to get their mortuary degree before going to be an apprentice end up getting their licenses and never using them because they can't handle it. Another one of my things I learned out to set was investment strategies. Now, I have a grave plot here. Investment strategies that my boss taught me. One is the purchasing of grave plots. If you can purchase off your own land and grave plots in different funeral homes and such, you can make it a part of your deal and you can make profits off of it. But it's all right to make profits. It's a business. But you're doing it for the right reason. If a family doesn't have a piece of land, you can have some available, and you can make that into your bargain, and it can be an asset. Another one would be special services. My boss, he drives the closest members of the deceased family. As bad as it may seem, you get to at least ride in a limo. You get to ride in the limo to the funeral home and off to the gravesite and back. He'll pick you up from your home. You'll be treated nicely. He didn't have to do that. He could drive you in a Cadillac or have you drive your own car, but he made that investment to bring on an extra appeal to our funeral home. Another one thing I set off for is hazards. This is actually a sign that's posted outside of our embalming and preservation room. Formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is not the only chemical agent used in embalming, but it is the most dangerous. You gotta avoid the risk of overexposure. It's typically frowned upon to wear a gas mask within the funeral home and the embalming process. It kind of makes it impersonal. I, however, see no problem with it because you want to protect yourself. You really do. Even the tables the cadavers lay on are specially ventilated to draw the fumes from the formaldehyde out. You don't want to get there. Who's going to embalm you, really? But you can get to here and be all right. There, you're out of there. Don't say you take some time off. You ventilate the area. You can't fix that. It sets on you. One of the strangest job responsibilities I got is that I kind of became a tour guide for the funeral home. We'd have different people interested in the mortuary science field, and I'd give them tours of everything except for the embalming room. It's a confidentiality thing. It's just kept best that way. What here we have is a crematorium or a cremator. All it is, big iron box. Inside of it is stone walls on all four corners, resistant to over 3,000 degrees heat. In the process, I'll give you the process of cremation, not embalming. But this is something I can quickly explain. Preparation, you want to take out as much metal from the cadaver as you can. You take out pacemakers and such like that, but pins and stuff drilled into the bone are very hard to remove until after cremation. So preparation, remove all metal and foreign objects. You preheat it, place your cadaver in a box. Most of these are cardboard boxes with plywood plats to support the body, or you can put them in slightly more fancier wooden show coffins. Either way, they're both going to burn. The process generally takes 2 hours to burn a cadaver. It can go longer. Ours takes a little bit longer. It's an older model. It's been there since probably George W. Seaver III. but it takes 2 hours generally, hour cool down to make sure you can touch everything. Scavenging, to say it simply, you gotta broom the ashes and debris out. And I'll explain ashes in a minute. We gotta brush everything out. Usually you go over the remains first with a magnet, and that'll remove a lot of foreign objects. Now, a lot of people think ashes is just when you're burned. Ashes is actually your bones. After the cremation process, all that's left is bone fragments, and those are sorted and separated out and put into a pulverizer, and that is crushed, and that's what actual ashes are. It's just bones. Okay, we got cremation collectibles here. Something weird I'd like to share with you. In the business, you gotta offer a lot of things. These two are my favorite. I call this one the tearjerker because it's really sad. I had an older friend of mine, had a 2-year-old son. He passed away and put his remains into a teddy bear. And he always remains solid to that teddy bear with everything he does. He now has a tattoo and stuff of it. So a teddy bear became symbolic to him. But there are a lot of options for cremations. You can be put in a classic urn, or you can be put in things like this, necklaces. This is one of my favorites. Can you tell me what's wrong with that picture? He is dead. Yes, this is one of my favorite things. Being a funeral director, you have to make options and accommodations. So we went through the what we can put your ashes in, but now, how would you like your service to be? How would you like to be involved? This is one of my personal favorite. I had a friend that actually passed away not too long ago in a motorcycle accident, so I found this extra cool. We didn't do this, but he is actually buried with his motorcycle. So it's him and a motorcycle stacked on top of him. But you always have to have options and accommodations. We personally, if you ask for it, you usually have it. I've attended funerals where jazz bands have performed. Doves can be released. You can have a bagpipe player. Anything you want, it can happen. If you want your pallbearers to pick you up and dance with you, they can. And this actually happens a lot embalming type funerals like this. A lot of people say it's taxidermy-ish. It's the same process. You just move differently. But options and accommodations are always important. And I think that should go into every business. Another thing is you only have one chance when it comes to a funeral. When it comes to yourselves, going back to investment strategies real quick, you can't make deals with dead people. You can't do it. Promise. So you can set up contracts and special deals while people are still living in their plans to have their funeral arrangement paid for and how they would already like it. We already have contracts on people that are only 40 years old, but I think that's beneficial because you can die tomorrow. You can die any day. So you only have one chance. And my word of advice, if it ever comes time, you're planning your funeral arrangement or what you'd like in your will, I would think you should go all out with it. You don't always have to be burned and thrown in ashes. You don't always have to be put in a mausoleum or just 6 feet under. It's kind of a meek way to end. You can be placed into a statue. You can have, like down here is where his casket is. You can have your ashes condensed and put into a ring. People can wear you. How weird is that? Like, hey, check this out. This is my grandfather. It doesn't work well with the women, trust me. But you only have one chance. Because everybody wants to get out of here, I'm going to leave you with a yellow rose. The yellow rose signifies goodbye. But I always think this should be the most important. I like to see a lot of yellow roses. Even though it's goodbye, it's an uplifting color. Yes, you have red, love, and white, purity. But it's yellow that represents goodbye and light and happiness. 15 minutes, it wasn't that bad. Everybody gets extra credits, and we can all graduate.
Anyone have any questions for Aaron? Well, some might say it might be appropriate with finals coming up. Be sure to sign the sheet if you need credit and place your evaluation in the box. That would be very helpful for us. Thank you for coming and wish you best of luck with the finals. Thank you very much. I have a certificate for you.